Recently, Jabari Parker broke down during an interview after his Barcelona squad was eliminated from the playoffs in the Spanish league. Had an extremely tough road in his career, ACL injuries. You know, didn't really get to live up to his full potential based on the expectations when he was the #2 pick coming into the draft. But in response to that video, you tweeted, "This is perseverance through expectation. This is courage and resilience. This is a countless climb after the countless fall. This is peace. This is clutch. Hashtag a better human than talent."
Yeah.
So what has Jabari Parker's comeback meant to you?
Well, I can only tweet that because I recruited Jabari. I know Jabari. I know the kid who was, I was in his dorm room having a real conversation with. I was in his living room on South Chappelle having a conversation with him and Lola and his father, Sonny, and his brother, Christian. So I can only tweet that because I know Jabari. When I saw that, it did something to me. No, Jabari is not a clutch client. But when I talked about him being clutch, for those who don't understand that I built several different verticals of a business, Clutch Sports Group sits over here. Let that stay there. Him being clutch was a totally different conversation I was saying on that. And what I was saying is, this is a clutch moment for him. This is clutch being able to, his tears was that pain being released. That kid was the #2 pick in the draft, should have been #1 in many cases, right? Depending on where he went, I didn't get him out of college, but had I got him out of college, he probably would have been #1 because the Cavs had #1 pick that year. You know, it was a lot of different things. I knew what was happening. Remember, Bron came back that same year. It could go a lot different. Maybe Kevin Love wouldn't have been on the Cavs because they probably not have traded him because that was the actual position that was needed at that 4, where when they drafted Wiggins, he played the position that Bron played coming back at the 3. So when I saw that, I just went all the way back to a world where I'm like, just damn, it was so good to see him back on the court, and it was so good to see him allow himself to be an example of what it is to really be okay with expressing yourself in that way. Those tears meant a lot. And that Jabari Parker is a much better person than he is basketball player. Or not then, but he's just a better person as he is a basketball player. I know that. I know how he cares about his community. I was there with him. I remember he called me one day, and this was when we was dead smack in the recruiting. I was in Chicago, and he had to fly to, I think it was Portland, Oregon, just to take a young lady to prom. Right? No social media, nothing. But he had told her he would do it. And he did it. You get what I'm saying? And I know how he cared about the kids at Simeon and back in Chicago. And so Jabari and I had this tight relationship, and I hadn't talked to him in a while. And so those words, I wrote that morning. That wasn't like off no script. Like I wrote that off the top of my head because that's what I was really feeling. And oftentimes when I do things, people think, oh, well, he's not your client. He don't have to be my client. It's not about client, it's about life. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what agency he's with. Fantastic. This is about life. You get what I'm saying? And I trump that. I know all these guys. I know all these guys. And I identify with them a lot different than, quote unquote, their representation ever could. So we're gonna move that to the side. You get what I'm saying? And so I was just really happy to see Jabari in that space. And I thought about his dad. I thought about his mom in that moment. I thought about you know, it's a tough fight, man, when these guys go. It's a tough fight for an athlete, period. People don't understand how tough it is to be an athlete. Black, white, green, red, purple, don't matter. It's extremely tough. These guys have to make their most important decisions at their youngest age. These guys have to take $1 million, pay half of that in taxes, and divide it by 9, including themselves. That's 10. So that's 50 grand for every million. You get what I'm saying? It's tough, bro. Your dad was a professional athlete.
He divided up by about 20, 25.
So and he wasn't getting it. They wasn't getting it like that.
They wasn't getting it.
They had to get Junior Bridgman. He went in and worked at Wendy's while being in the front office. You get what I'm saying?
They were teammates together on the Bucs.
So I just, for me, I just couldn't. I just had to express that.
You know, it's so funny. When I seen it, I knew exactly what that feel was, right? If you're an athlete and if you've ever been injured and you've ever had to fight, you know what those tears are. So when I was seeing social media, other people who's never played sports say, and turn it into a negative thing, and I was like, this is the biggest disconnect. This is why athletes are needed in the podcast space, because this is a positive.
It's a positive.
How you hit the lottery or your child graduated and you seeing your little baby, girl for the first time, and then she's graduating college and those tears of joy comes out. That's what this is for an athlete.
Yeah.
He went through so much pain that he never even saw himself doing that interview, that game.
And it hit him.
When it hit him all at once and he just...
So when I said this is clutch, I had a couple people online like, oh, you trying to make it? I'm like, I can't imagine what your test scores look like in elementary school. But what I was saying was, no, this is a clutch act.
Mm-hmm.
That this thing is, kids need to see this, and this is, man, I was just so impressed. Really, I was.